Silence, please.
Welcome to MIA, Mixed in America. I am your host, Damian Dorn, aka Mr. Green Bay. This is the show where you go to hear truth, facts, and experience from black to white, exposing the gray area behind the stereotypes of America. Welcome back to Mixed in America. This is your host, Damian Dorn, aka Mr. Green Bay. And this is another one of those episodes that's going to be a little inside look as to how we got here and where we're going. I'm honored to have the co-creator of MIA Concept with us today, Mr. James Hefe Brantley. What's happening?
Man, what it do?
Yeah, you know what time it is. So, pleasure having you. Welcome to finally be on the Mixed in America platform. That a lot of thought and conversation went into creating, and we had a lot of discussions about life and the upbringings of ourselves in different environments. We've known each other for quite some time. We're well into our 40s, known each other since our teenage years. So there's been a lot of witnessing and growth and witnessing of growth between us both. So, what just off the bat to keep the listeners engaged, Mixed in America. What does the concept mean to you as a co-creator?
Man, so Mixed in America is honestly took on a form of itself, but the initiation of it is pretty just unique and organic in itself too. Just like you said, through conversations we naturally have, discussing things. I think being that it's close to the holidays right now too, I think we was actually talking about some stuff with holidays or whatnot, and you happen to bring up something that, yeah, man, I remember when I was little, and it was something you experienced through your white side, and I'm like, sat there and just kind of like, it, not necessarily dumbfounded, but just kind of like, wait, what'd he say? Because, to me, man, I always look at Damien as, man, like he's a brother. He one of me, you know what I mean? Like, not saying that I don't accept that he mixed or didn't know he was mixed. It's just like was my natural vantage and viewpoint of him. And so when you said that, I'm like, dang. And then remember you was like, what, bro? And I'm like, man, I said, you really just made me think about something that's really unique. I was like, bro, you didn't have to experience that side of something that I could never even understand. I'm like, because all my experiences come from like a black perspective, mom black, dad black, family black perspective. We have some mixed people in our family and whatnot, but my stuff come from a black standpoint. So when you said it, it just blew my mind. I was like, bruh. I was like, so remember I started asking you more because I'm like, so wait, what about this? And I was like, bruh, like it never dawned on me, even though I know you mixed, that you didn't for real had to keep walking through life where sometimes you gotta be this way when you're around this family. Sometimes you gotta be this way when you're around. Then it almost kind of seemed like it let a valve loose for you, like, yeah, bruh, boom, 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 giving all these examples. I was like, bruh, you don't understand. I know we working on, a lot of the things you gonna be doing the kids and, public speaking. But I'm like, bro, this is a thing of its own. I'm like, because now you got me thinking how many more people is mixed that, had these experiences. Because again, selfishly, I look at it from a single vantage point of a black man in America, you know what I mean? Or black culture in America. Never looking at like, yeah, I look at my brother like he black, but this man had to live a duality for all his life.
It's crazy. Like, one of my favorite sayings is, you never see the picture when you're the one inside the frame. So, it wasn't until those conversations where you were like, damn, what? I was talking about maybe I was talking about some sauerkraut or something. You was like, sauerkraut? I was like, yeah, that's that white boy in me. And it was those certain just real moments where, you got to see the real inner workings of my structure, who I am and who I was brought up to be based on my multicultural upbringing. So, I'm black. Yeah, I'm black. Let the courts tell it. Let any institution in America tell it. Any melanin in you, you're black, right? So, but for all intents and purposes, you know, I was in tune with the whiteness that I am, and it was interesting to grow up with guys such as yourself that came up from bigger cities, you know, the Green Bay, where it was predominantly white at the time. And, you know, y'all ran into me. It's like, oh, he's a brother. And you know what I mean? Like, it was like, yeah. And I ran into y'all like, yes, finally, you know what I mean? More brothers, you know? So to go from there to where we are today, you know, I'm excited to partner up with the Mix in America vision and really shine some light on some of the topics that, you know, we've talked about already on Mixed in America, or the list that we have to run through in the near future. So what are some of the ideas and plans and perspectives that, you know, our listeners can and followers can, you know, anticipate coming from Mixed in America, you know, as we co-create and co-collab?
You know, a lot of this stuff I don't quite want to reveal to them yet because, you know, I want them to tune in when it's time to tune in. But, you know, I guess I kind of walk them through this kind of to further expand on how we was talking about how this came about. So, like what he was just saying about, you know, people coming up here from Green Bay, from other cities and stuff like myself. And, like, we look at him like, man, okay, it's a brother up here. Okay, boom. And it's, you know, smooth. But one thing that I seen with him, the more I got to know him right away was, first of all, I realized, okay, he mixed. Man, that don't mean nothing. He's still a brother to me, like I said. But the way that he, even back then, moved in and out of, you know, around the brothers, around the white guys. But what was crazy, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but how all his little white buddies, man, they fell in line, uniform, like, this is our leader, whatever Damien want us to do or whatever. You know, and I always thought that was kind of funny, but cool at the same time. Like, man, he got him a whole little brigade of his little white homies that's ready to do whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Whatever.
But, you know, so it's just like a lot of the topics and subjects that we come from really come from organic situations like that. Like, again, anybody who's like me where we not multiracial, our experiences probably, as vast as they may be, come from that limited vantage point of what we are, you know, as a single, you know, race. And I kind of felt, I'm going to be honest, I kind of felt bad in a sense because it's like, and I think it's probably a lot of people like this. It's not that you purposely try to discredit the fact that you have this balancing act that you playing through life. It's just that the natural perception, like you said, melanin, oh, here's my brother, what's good, bro? Right. Never understanding like the complexities of life that you having to go through and the decisions you have to, like, it's flight or fight. It's, man, do I be this way? Do I act proper here? Like, and to then know it's compounded by, some people may accept you, some may not. Like, it's situations just being a lighter shade, as they like to say, brother, where, you know, people, oh, you not black teasing me, peanut butter and jelly. I'm like, man, my parents black. So to imagine somebody that was, and, you know, the things you probably was called, and here maybe some white folks didn't accept you, even though you same as them, just partially. You know what I mean? Here some of the brothers, man, I ain't messing with dude, but it brought on this whole life of, you know, when you had asked in the beginning, like, what we doing, where we going with this, or what does it mean to me? It moved from where we just got to talking about your multi-race to, bro, this is something that everybody needs to, you know, to encounter, because we say that, let's come together, you know, all these different things, let's have equality or whatnot. But, you know, when we look at something as simple as that, like, again, I don't think it's done fairly, but where y'all literally throughout y'all life have to pick, do I want to be a white, black person, mixed person, or do I want to be a black mixed person? Why I just can't commingle, you know, through both sides and move, you know, move cool and smooth? Like, y'all constantly being pressurized, y'all constantly being, like, again, I think about my own self in situations where, you know, I've been around places or things where I feel, man, it might have been some prejudice type situations looking at me or racial. So to think even beyond that, you got it from both sides, and you got it, man, like, even the story you share with me about, it's times where you didn't even know if you fit in, period, with anybody. You know, it's kind of what started forming this.
It's a real thing. You know, it was it was, early childhood memories. My mom, white from Shawnee, Wisconsin, living in Chicago, Illinois. First and foremost, was a rarity to have a white woman by herself in the inner cities of Chicago raising a multicultural child in the city of Chicago.
Especially back then.
You're talking early 80s, right? So, um, I got to witness firsthand the difference in cultures. One, I was raised by a Puerto Rican and Polish babysitter while my mom was working on top of that. So, Puerto Rican and Polish babysitter, she did not play. So you got that culture inside of, a young version of me because, you say most kids are on autopilot till they're 7. So this is all before 7. And, my dad was a part of my life before 7. And my dad's family was a part of my life before 7. So I remember a lot of things while I was on autopilot, not knowing what it was going to shape, mold, or sculpture me into. But I'll tell you, one thing I learned is how to be myself, and no matter the situation. Like, no matter the color, barriers, boundaries, no matter the culture I was in, like, I can be myself in a white American culture, a black American culture, Native American culture. We'll talk more about that as I got older. I moved to Wisconsin, and there was Native Americans, white and Asian, really, in this area. So I tend to gravitate towards the Native Americans. And when I got incarcerated, it was it was Latin folks in them that loved each other. It was my people who fought with each other all the time, or it was the Native Americans who were a tribe and just nobody could penetrate. So I tend to cling to, the love and peace versus the chaos and hatred. So a lot of Native American culture inside my blood too. So essentially, having the conversations that we've had, and you've raised multicultural children, and I've gotten to witness your success as a father to these kids. And I was like, man, you teach them just to be black though. Like, at the end of the day, right? Like,
yeah, that's part of like what we were saying. When we had that convo, I was like, bruh, so it made me even think about my own. I'm like, I never looked at it as being nothing wrong. Like, this is who I am, so this is what I instill in you. And something you mentioned earlier is that no matter how proper they are, how this or that they is, the world, unfortunately and fortunately, gonna immediately label them as, oh, they're black.
Absolutely.
But one of the cool, fascinating things too, though, since we've been on this whole Mixing America journey, is you realize how prominent mixed Americans really are in a lot of aspects of whether it's entertainment or business levels or whatnot. And again, most of them are identified as, oh, the black quarterback or the black,
right?
And they're mixed,
And they're
so
mixed,
it got
right?
me again thinking deeper, and even having talked with not just my own kids but other youth and other mixed people, adult, and they, seeing like this is a common thing to where nobody talks about it really. It's just something that is, but they share these stories of these conflicts and these different scenarios that they done had to go through with, man, not feeling this where you having to be this way around they black people and having to be this way around they white people. And it go beyond just black and white. That's why I was saying earlier too, the way that this thing is expanded is more or less we giving a platform on two levels, I feel, where we're talking about these unique stories of people that, a lot of us just look narrowly at, this is who you are, even though you way more deeper than that. But it's also become like a calling card in a sense for when we look at, talking about mixed and multiracial, whatnot, and you think about all of the crazy chaos that exists in the nation and the world, whatever, man, like underneath the skin, we pretty much all the same, from the bones to the muscles to the, all these things. So it's kind of evolved into where we creating this bigger thing to where people who are not even mixed or just black or whatever, they want to be involved with this because they like, man, y'all talking about a lot of unique things, man. Y'all addressing stuff, or it's just even interesting to them because, like I said, you sharing a lot of your stories, like, bruh, so you da-da-da-da over here at your white, wow, and then, man, I wouldn't even, like, just fathom that in my mind. It's weird to me, like, dang, that's crazy. You almost had to be a chameleon in a sense, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I think in the time that we're in, you know, you got, you know, just to name a few, Seth Curry, you know, Stephen Curry. You got
You was right saying Seth though. That's his brother.
oh yeah, Seth. And then what's Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes, right? And then the Green Bay Packers has Christian. What's the young brother's name? The wide receiver that caught 3 touchdowns last week.
Watkins, Watson, something.
Yeah, something like that. Young mixed brother too, you know. And I know Green Bay.
Barack Obama.
For sure, right?
And see, the further compound in what we saying, what do they call him? The first
black president, right? And
yeah.
I kept telling people, I was like, wait a minute. Like, hold on. Like, black president or blackish president, you know?
And it don't mean that we, you know, black folks don't claim, but it's just like what we saying, when you evolve the conversation, like, even with him, I would love to hear some of the stories of going through his life of where he had to be this way around this side and this way, and he know they looking at his skin complexion when he walk in his meeting, so he got to.
Yeah, he knew.
You know
he
what
knew.
I'm saying?
See, grandparents weren't playing with him, so the law was laid down immediately as a child for him. So he was raised very astute. You know, he's an astute black man. That's why he's so well rounded and so well spoken. You know.
And okay, I'm gonna cheat because you got me going back down memory lane on how we start evolving these things. But you know, I think they gonna look forward to a conversation we gonna have where when you look at someone like Colin Kaepernick,
right,
and how he predominantly looks at himself as a black man. I'm not saying I've ever heard him diss his white side,
no,
but he just you know. And so again, what I say to you, D, I said
we talked about that
on the real. I said we need to talk with him and find out
why he was so pro-black.
Yeah,
Colin, if you listening, like straight up, if you listening from one mixed brother to another, I just need to know why you went so pro-black, like straight up.
On the real, and you
like,
know,
not that he's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Say. People might think we saying that like, oh, he's wrong. No, it's a fascinating scenario to wonder when you are these two things.
Because I'm mixed.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be honest. I never felt I was black enough to be so pro-black, right? Like, my hair wasn't as afro-ish. You know, my hair was a little bit more curly. So I didn't get to really have the black genes. I mean, even today, without being in the sun all day, my melanin is dried up, you know. But
and I would want to ask him this too, bro.
I want to know.
I would ask him this as well. So with us knowing whatever happened in your life to make you veer that hard towards pro-black, what do you feel like when some people say exactly what you just said, but bro, you're not even all black? Right. I would love to have this kind of conversation with him again, not from a malicious standpoint. No. Like, it's very interesting.
That's what we talk about, though. We talk about the gray area mixed in America.
Exactly.
You know, that's why I love this concept. That's why I'm so on board with developing the brand that is MIA, because, you know, just like we're talking about Colin went so pro-black, you know, we can talk about others that went anti-black, right?
Ooh,
like,
that is true.
You know, there's black folks that are 100% black that went anti-black route, right? Uncle Tom or whatever they call him, Rufus or whatever. You know, and then there's white folks that are so pro-black that they almost are disrespectful with how black they are trying to be pro. You know, so but mixed in America, you know, from my perspective, you know, where I'm at, where I stand, I was never able to see color. I was never able to base my decisions on color to an extent, if I'm being honest. However, stereotypically, statistically, experience-based results have led me to understand and know that when doing business, you tend to expect a certain type of business from certain type of people. You know, when renting of or renting to certain class of people, you tend to expect certain tangibles that come with that. You know, even music wise, right? Like musically, like you see a white person that can rap, you're like, oh, okay, white boy, right? But you see a white person that can rap, sing, dance, play the guitar, play the flute, play the violin. You know, now it's like, damn, look at that white boy. You know, you take a black man that can dribble a ball, right, and dunk and shoot and all of that, right? That's cool, like that we expect that, right? But then put him in a math lab or put him in a science lab and watch him work. You're like, dang, look at that brother work, right? Why are those stereotypes? Like, to me, this is what Mixed in America is about, right? Breaking through some of those platforms, having some of those tough conversations, some of those realizations that people may be realizing but not quite emphasizing or approaching the conversation.
Taboo. It feels taboo in a lot of aspects to talk about it, and we ain't scared. Like, man, let's talk about it, because you know those kind of conversations can go a long way for a lot of different reasons. You know, honestly, a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't care what color you are, where you're from, what background you have, what educational standpoint, accomplishments you've received, what religion you are, how you're employed. I feel like whatever you bring to the table in this type of conversation, this table of topics that we have for MIA, like your contribution matters. And what an amazing platform for other people to come and be their own voice and be their own voice of reason, to break in those stereotypes of America in general. And maybe mixed Americans can start running for politics, can start running for school boards, can start running for all these very, very, very important.
As what? Mixed American as opposed to black, or?
Yes, as a mixed American, you know, and be the reason, be the voice of reason at them board levels and community levels. And
yeah, I mean, because again, you know, as you saying that's again kind of some of the premises. What we start thinking about is like, what would that be like to think of a mixed person with these unique experiences and whatnot? What would they be able to contribute if they are able to just be able to be, man, I'm this spectrum of this, you know, I'm not just coming at you from what I know from my black part of me, or I'm not just in this room and, you know, I got to talk a certain way because I know from my white part, but literally saying, man, here's the spectrum of my experiences, having to wade through both of these things and what that would do, you know. So
I'm interested to see, I'm interested to see a well-rounded, you know, mixed council or committee on all DEI platforms, right? On school platforms, law and justice platforms, especially child support reform and prison reform platforms. Like, it's got to be in America. I feel if we're going to break free from the racist system that we all have been oppressed by, even whether we know it or not, even we recognize it or not, it that's a whole nother topic. But in order to break through that, we have to have something else to stand on, right? And why not mixed Americans come to the aid of America that was built by black folks through the hands and minds and geniuses or maliciousness of white folks, or however you want to call it, right? It is what it is. We can't change the past. We do know that the past is the past. We don't have to run from it, hide from it, be embarrassed by it, all of that, but we can learn from it and build upon it. And so why not mixed Americans stand up to the challenge and be accounted for? Because you don't hear about mixed issues, you hear about white issues, you hear about black issues.
But yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is a such thing as white issues, black issues, but this is what I mean about a person who's black and white mixed. Imagine the way that y'all can weigh in on something. Like, you know, again, going back to some convos we've had and what, you know, made me bring up that whole Colin Kaepernick, I remember going in detail with you like, bro, you the perfect person to really sit down with him, because if a black person do it who is whatever with him, they're going to be like, oh, it's just that way because he black and whatever. If a white person do it in the way that they might have come across attacking him, they're going to be like, man, why they doing? I'm like, with you understanding him deeper than probably most, it allows for you to be able to have a unique conversation with him, and he can't throw it off as why the white man attacking me, or man, why this brother just don't get it. Like, no, man, you got to sit here eye to eye with me and let's talk about this stuff. Yeah, our upbringing and experience may not be identical, but brother, you can't tell me we ain't experienced some of the same things.
Oh yeah,
you know?
even from what he's displayed in his movie. I mean, yeah, some of those situations made my stomach turn because I was like, yeah, I remember that. You know, so I get it, I do, and like I said, I'm not anti-Colin at all. Shout out to my brother. You know what I mean?
I appreciate everything he did, man.
Absolutely.
Like the man, for real. Despite what anybody want to say, like, yeah, maybe he didn't have kind of the stature people say with Malcolm X or Martin, but like, man, to throw away, as they like to say nowadays, the super bag.
Well, listen,
man, you got to somewhat salute him, man. You know, I know it's a bunch of other things that could go along with that too, as far as some of the politics working behind the scene of what he did or didn't do. But overall, I just think, again, it would be a fascinating conversation to understand what affected you or what pushed you so hard to say, man, I'm just claiming pro-black, period, and knowing, you know, the pushback on both sides he got with that. So let me, audience, let me take over his show for a moment, because I'm finna unveil some things. But that's the kind of cool thing I like with him too, man. He know I like to try to be raw, real, and organic as possible. So like,
that's what we about.
When I first kind of was telling him this concept, and he got this funny thing he do like this too, where I was like, bruh, I'm telling you, man, we can make this whole mixed thing. And it wasn't that he wasn't not with it per se, but he kind of like, I don't know, man. And I'm like, bruh, is you not under? I'm like, this and that and that and this. And then probably I say about a month and a half, it was like a light bulb went off. You was like, fam, that mixed thing you was talking to me about, I think you on to something. I think you on to something. So walk us through, me and your audience, what took you from where you kind of like, I hear him, I don't know if I'm feeling it, to what happened that made you be like, man, he on to something, and boom, let's roll with this?
I mean, I started paying attention to other things other than myself and what was in my immediate world, right? What affected my immediate world, because me being mixed is like breathing, right? Like, it's what I do. Like, I can be in a room full of black people, room full of white people, and just be me. I'm not going to be too white, too black in any scenario, but I'm just going to be me, and you're going to know that I'm mixed because I am who I am. I'll use slang and proper pronunciation in the same sentence. But I started looking around, and I was like, you know, I just started looking at people around me, the kids, the youngsters, right? The 16 to 25-year-olds in my area, right? Just like, man, there's just so many mixed kids. Like, then my son's football team, you know, like a couple years ago, there were no mixed kids. You know, now, man, there's so many mixed kids playing football in Green Bay, right? Basketball, there's just, you know, first it was all white kids going through Harry Boyce's gym. You know, now it's all types of kids, mixed kids, white kids, black kids going through his gym, right? So I just started witnessing all these things and, you know, feeling like I've always been the person of color in all my white situations. I've always felt in those situations, why am I the only person of color here? Like, what about me makes me feel like I belong here and other folks don't? You know, like whether it be a business meeting, whether it be a business seminar or you know, a talk or a lesson or anything, right? Like, I would always find myself in a room full of white people and be the only person of color. Like, damn. So I was like, okay. I was like, so maybe he is on to something. Like, I am. like I do be a brother in these white situations, and I do be a white boy in these brother situations. I said, but I do be myself in both situations. So I was like, all right,
And uniquely yourself, because I can't imagine what that is. You know what I mean? I'm me. So
like I'm not even being phony, no matter like. And thank you for pointing that out. Like it's just a, it was just a educated it was an educated decision. I took some words from you, and you gave me some scenarios and examples, and we traveled a little bit, and you were like pointed some things out to me about who I was to other people and the impact that I had on those around me, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just like, man, maybe he is on to something. I was like, okay. I was like, let me think, man. Mixed in America. I was like, MIA, mixed in America. I was like, and then I just kept thinking on it. Then I came up with the slogan, peanut butter and jelly, Oreo cookies, zebra cake.
And that's what pushed it over. I said, wait, well, what'd you say?
Right.
You was like, what? I said, no, what did you say?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I said, bruh, that's it.
Yeah. And I just kept on, like, and my mind was just like, okay, what would be if I was the voice of reason for all my mixed Americans? What would we be saying? And that's why I came up with that peanut butter and jelly, Oreo cookie, zebra cupcake, not white enough, not black enough,
And you know what's dope about it? So you made it from that mixed perspective, but I could personally speak from a black person. And I'm sure some white scenario, or even Asian or whatnot, we all have experienced these different names that we've been called. Mm-hmm. Whether a white person being called this, or a black person being called that, or like you said, peanut butter, mixed Oreo, whatever, or Asian being called this, or Mexican. So I felt it was powerful, bro. Like looking at it from that aspect, like it evokes your attention, but it also make you relate to it immediately, like whether you mixed or not, because everybody didn't experience that some form of fashion, somebody calling them a name for whatever they race is. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I felt like, that's it. You're like, bro, I'm like, no, that's it right there.
Hey, I'm just privileged enough or blessed enough to have worked with you long enough to know, like, all right, maybe I like it, maybe I don't, but we gonna try it out, and if it works, it works. So, here we are. Money's been invested, time's been invested, ideas have been explored.
And so, hold on.
A lot of research.
I'm still going to hijack your show for your audience here. So let's move to the next key element there. So thank you for walking us through how you came to that, kind of resolution of like, yeah, okay, let's run with it. Mm-hmm. What, because this was the next thing that, that he started telling me is like, man, I kind of chatted with such and such about, or, I had some clients that I, work with today and kind of shared a little bit, and they were like, oh my God. And, walk us through that, like how you kind of slowly, cause I felt like, and this ain't no bad thing. I felt like I trust him. I told him I rock with him. Let me test the waters a little bit, which is your method too. You know what I mean? Let me test the waters a little bit. So like explain that for me, how, cause it seemed like once you start testing those waters, in my opinion, you start getting super excited, like, bro, I'm ready to roll. So, like, what was that experience? What were you doing, and how did that end up making you elevate even higher to, like, man, let's rock?
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of real conversation being had. I'm a server by trade, so oftentimes I would use my customers as my audience, talking about, mixed situations, mixed scenarios, acknowledging that they're a mixed couple or, multicultural family, having those conversations, seeing if I'm on point with what their thoughts might be or perspectives might be. And, it was interesting to hear so many people of all backgrounds say, man, we need something like that. We need something like that.
I think another cool thing you were sharing with me that was happening a lot is people was telling you, oh, I have a mix such and such, or my uncle's mix, and you kind of felt like, dang, like they everywhere, we everywhere.
Well, yeah, I think we're at that point in society where there's no pure, like, listen, man, white folks, black folks, like Latino folks, like somewhere down the line, somebody crossed the line, you know what I mean? So, again, which is all testament to our mission here at Mixed in America to break that barrier and mold and boundary of color. You know, like it's time.
Yeah.
So hearing so many people enjoy the conversation, like when I told people like the topics were cornbread and potato salad, you know, white mom, black dad, black mom, white dad, not white enough, not black enough, right? Like when I mentioned some of these topics, people were like, yeah, those are great topics for, like, I'm interested to hear what somebody has to say on those topics. So I literally want to do like take one of these topics and just make like a series of, you know, podcasts with different people, because I'm interested to see some other perspectives. Yeah, I had great perspectives on not white enough, not black enough. Sure, the Monroe did a great job. Cultural awareness, cultural bias, cultural ignorance with Mohammed Bey was a great conversation. Dropped a lot of nuggets, but I want to get a white person's perspective on cultural awareness, cultural ignorance, and cultural bias.
You leaking some of what we got coming, man.
See, I mean, this is why I'm the right side of the brain and you're the left side of the brain, and sometimes we have synopsises that, you know, they're in line and patterns. So,
but no, very well. What you're saying is like how a lot of the topics and how the evolution of the show coming about, you know. So like you had kind of asked me where we going, what we doing with it. You know, obviously you doing this audio version of it right now, which has been received well. And, you know, like I said, I like that you went out and jumped and did it, because I feel like it just only, it backed your belief up stronger to know, like, man, there is some great content and great conversations to be had with, you know, this natural topic. That's the thing. That's the thing that I think is so cool. It's a natural topic for you. We're not asking you to go out the way or do something or be something. Like, it's a natural topic. But, you know, through that came the conversations and the topics, again, of natural things, because, you know, as we start digging in, thinking like, man, so, bro, when you went to Thanksgiving, what it was like at your white people, what it was like at your black people, you know, thinking about that, then talking about, you know,
Christmas.
as far as how you know, a black man approaches one versus what maybe a white guy version of, you know, all these different things. And like you said, it's nothing that is mean-hearted or anything.
Yeah, I feel like white guys lead with their wallet.
I can't speak on it.
Like, I'm just being honest. I feel like white guys lead with their wallet. Like, look what I got.
Man, you know I didn't see some that.
Look at my car. Look at my house. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what white guys do. Like,
I don't know, bro. I didn't.
Anyway,
I'm gonna put it this way: we gonna see coming soon on the episode. Nevertheless, though, you know, like a lot of these cool conversations, man, and topics, and so I think what your audience can look forward to is the migration of not you stopping doing this, but, you know, to the next evolution of what this looks like. The original concept we were thinking of when, you know, first was discussing this with you, like, D, I'm telling you, it's a show we got, it's a podcast we got, and I think they'll enjoy it, you know, because it's cool to hear your voice and you do your radio version voice and all that, you know what I mean? But I think being able to interact with, you know, body language and seeing, you know, the various different people you have on as guests or whatnot, I think it's just going to take it to another level. And like you said, it's not a program where we just going to have only black folks, or we just only looking for, you know, mixed folks. No, it's going to be white folks, Asian folks, Native folks, black folks, mixed folks, aliens, if we can get an alien to come on, you know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be a mixture.
Elon.
It's going to be some great conversation. Real.
Hey, you know, talking about the radio voice, like, I mean, it's one thing to, you know, be able to, you know, put on the voice, and when the cameras are rolling, to be able to see the natural fluidness of how I interact with people of all color and cultures. I think that's what's going to be so dynamic for our viewers when we get to that point. I'm excited to have you on board. I'm excited to have, you know, your thought process going behind, you know, kind of the vision and direction of MIA. You know, there's a lot of brand building that's going to be going on over the next 18 months. And this is like episode 11, I think, of the audio, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be episode 11. Or no, I think this might be episode 12, this particular episode airing. So this 12 months of, jumping on podcasts, starting off in college, then really, jumping into it outside of college. I graduated in May, so still continuing the podcast outside of college, actually buying some mics and, a podcaster and, all these other things to, kind of put myself in a position where I can't say no to myself, right? Like set yourself up for success or set yourself up for failure, but either way, set yourself up, So I'm excited. I look forward to bringing the message, the good word of God, and peace and prosperity to all kinds, all colors, all creeds, all cultures, and personalities. This is definitely going to be a journey. I think about Joe Rogan and Howard Stern, and some of the greats. Even my guy Drink Champs. Like some of the great entertainers, podcasters out there of yesterday and today. I feel like we can tackle good conversation, hard conversation, fun conversation, light conversation, heavy conversation under the Mixed in America umbrella. So definitely looking forward to more. James, appreciate you. It's been a long time coming. Man, what else you got before we bounce out?
Man, I just, again, I'm proud of you for believing in. I know sometimes when I be coming up with these ideas or concepts, I don't always know how to necessarily put them into words immediately, but I appreciate the trust that we build up in one another, and you, in my case, where you like, I don't quite know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna believe you, and then just to see your belief growing to the point where you, when it started doing this audio version, to knowing the other things we building, and just seeing it all come to fruition, man, it's gonna be a magnificent thing. And so, I salute you, and man, I appreciate all the people who be tuning in from episode to episode with you, and just know that some more great things coming that I think they really gonna be able to get behind and enjoy.
My name is Damian Doran, aka Mr. Green Bay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. This is Mixed in America.
Life is not so black and white, and there is too much gray area not to talk about it. Thank you for listening. Look forward to having you back next time as we discuss truth, facts, and experience, exposing the gray areas and stereotypes behind America herself.